And it didn't do. Welcome, everybody, to the weekly HDI Local Chapters live stream show. I'm your host, Tom Wilk, and I want to thank everybody for coming back for Season 2. Speaking of which, our show sponsor, Robert Half, Talent Solutions, has graciously been back for Season 2 as our sponsor. And if you've watched our show, you know a lot about them. If not, check out their at roberthalf.com/technology. You can find out about them. They're good at finding people jobs or finding leaders, people to fill jobs. But I want to thank them and shout out because without their support, not only would this show not be possible, but HDI Local Chapters as an organization wouldn't be possible. So huge shout out to all of our sponsors, but especially Robert Half Talent Solutions for being a sponsor of our show. All right, so today, our guest is Heather Beck. Heather is a returning guest to the show. She was in season 1, and we brought her back for a special reason today. But let's tell you a little bit about Heather. She is a technology geek, and that's going to be important when you hear how she got into technology. But she is also, and I can test this, she's a customer service fanatic, right? Currently, she's the director of product support at SAP. But Heather started her career out as a court reporter, and she has lots, we don't have time for all of them, but she has lots of great stories about things she's heard in court. Now, Heather, I've looked some of that up on the internet, like, is this really true? Oh my goodness, was it funny? So I'd be curious to hear some of yours. But she did leave that world behind to get into technology, and she went from the courtroom, landing in the boardroom, even as a vice president of global support. That's a big title, Heather. But when she's not busy at work, Heather graciously donates her time and volunteers as president of the HDI local chapter in Seattle. Now, whether she's working or volunteering, her passion is to give employees and customers the best experience possible. Welcome to the show, Heather, or I should say welcome back.
Thanks, Tom. And I really feel like there's nothing I need to say because you just summed me up in like 30 seconds, right? I mean, that's me.
That's Terry and Amy. That wasn't me. I just get my stuff from the people that really run the show, right? So, and I said to you earlier, I feel like I've known you for quite some time through the HDI local chapters community, but I didn't know, because you don't put it on LinkedIn necessarily, I didn't know about this court reporting thing and then your transition into technology. Because I'm always, if you listen to the show, like, I love to talk to my guests about, everybody thinks that we all got into this, we all went to school for IT and got into it, but that's not necessarily the case. So I got to ask, first of all, what led you to court reporting?
Yeah. So I don't have it on my resume or LinkedIn, by the way, because it's more than 20 years that I've been in technology and there's rules, right? You don't need the really old stuff. But yeah, it's one of my hidden secrets. Honestly, I feel like it's one of my hidden talents because I can type 225 words a minute, which is very fast.
So I'll tell you, I know a little bit about court reporting because when I worked at community college, we had a program, not only typing, but you use one of those funky machines.
A stenograph machine, yeah.
Though, I mean, they don't have all the keys that a keyboard has on it, so that's amazing. First of all,
and the keys are not labeled if you've ever looked at one. So
I had to support them technology-wise, and that is nuts. Meanwhile, they're going like this, and they're typing away and not even looking.
Yeah, I'll tell you how I got into it. I was going to school, I think, for like international business or something, but I probably would have been one of those students that kept declaring a new major because I couldn't really decide or had no clue what I was doing. And my mom had decided to go back and get a second career. And she went to court reporting school, and watching her do it and finding out how hard it was, how challenging it was, that intrigued me. That piqued my interest. And I'm like, I want to do something that's that hard. And so I went to school. I ended up passing her up in school and graduating before she did, which she blamed it on the young age that I was capable of doing that. I really just set out to do it because I saw how challenging it was, which is great. Until then, you're faced with this prospect of like, do I want to do this my whole life? And that's, when I was able to kind of figure out, I want to switch and what is it that I truly love? What do I value? And I landed in technology. But court reporting is not easy. The dropout rate in school is incredible. Like, it is very hard to make it through. And so many friends I had, kept trying and trying 6-8 years. They were still in school and they finally just gave up because it's like being a professional athlete. I mean, you have to take in this information, process it in your brain, get it out your fingers accurately without comprehending any of it. Because if you try and think about what you heard, you're too slow. And, people talk too fast. So it's pretty grueling, and hats off to any court reporters. They're pretty amazing.
Yeah, and again, because I've seen them, because I worked at the college that had a program for them. You print off on registered tape, and then when they say, "Can you read that back to me?" I'm looking at it going, if I could see it, I still don't know what the hell they typed. That's crazy, right?
It's
And
a
I
whole
understand.
different language. Right, a whole
Yeah,
different language you're learning. It's
yeah,
not English
exactly.
letters. Yeah.
Yeah. So when they say read it back to me, and they're going like this real quick, I'm like, I don't know. That's a different language, all right. I don't even
Yep.
think Google can translate that one. But on top of that, I understand, like, kind of off topic to that. I understand from when I worked there at that program, they were starting to use the court reporting program to teach people how to do closed captioning
Yep.
for TV and stuff. So if you ever watch those closed captioning and you see them backspace, I don't know how those people do it, because that's just as hard, if not harder, like trying to, like, the newscasters talking and you're behind the scenes like trying to keep up with them. And good luck
Yeah.
if you're trying to do it. Me, I talk way too fast anyway. So
Well, it's the same. It is live, right? I mean, you got to capture what's being said live and hope it's accurate, because in court at any moment, the judge may say, "Can you please read that back to me?" I mean, you don't have time to go, fix up your notes or listen to a recording and fix the one sentence you dropped. I mean, it has to be in real time, and that's the pressure of it too. It's pretty crazy. So to
yeah.
get certified in the state of Washington, you have to be able to type 225 words a minute, four voices talking at the same time. So not only are you taking in what each person's saying, and in court they're going to argue over each other and speak over each other, but you have to identify who's saying that. So there's extra strokes that you're having to put down to say, Mr. Wilk, and then everything you said, and then Mrs. Jones, and
Oh
everything they
man,
said.
I didn't
So
even
it's
think
like
about that.
you have to identify the speaker before each person speaking. And then when it gets into an argument, that's why you may often see court reporters like throw their hands up and just say, I can't do this. So you have to stop them, slow
Judge.
down, please quit arguing, calm the situation, because
Wow.
there's no possible way to keep up with that pace. So the average person only talks maybe 160 words a minute. And that's why they train you to be able to go so much faster, so that you can get all those designations and really breeze through those points where it gets heated and people might be talking over each other.
Wow. It makes me
Yeah.
think twice now when I go back to, I was watching some of those shows on, what is it, Bull and things like that. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, all those, the argue, I never even thought about the court reporter. I mean, you always see them there, but yeah. So Heather, that explains, like, those of us that know you in the community, like our producer, Amy and Terry, we know that, like, you're pretty tough, and now I understand why. I mean, you love challenges. So I'm guessing the technology field is not, I mean, I don't say it's not a challenge for you, but it's got to be easier than trying to keep up with arguing lawyers and people in court. So I can understand maybe why. So why? So got to say, like, you went from the frying pan into the fire. Why technology coming
Yeah,
from
yeah.
that? Certainly wasn't easier.
No, I mean, you hit the nail on the head right there. It was the challenge. So that story is just, I realized that court reporting wasn't something I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And if we get more time, I would tell you why that was. Basically, I mastered the challenge and I was ready for, like, what else is there out there, right?
I get
Um,
that.
I took some time. Funny enough, I followed my mom again, and she was working at a software company, and I got a job there as a receptionist. In my mind, it was just temporary stopgap until I re-enrolled in school. Is really what I was thinking. What am I going to do next? But after I started seeing it was a software company and what the technical support representatives were doing and how difficult their jobs were and how much troubleshooting went into it, I was like, "Ooh, that looks hard. That looks like a challenge." So at some point I went into it was a husband and wife team that owned the business. I went into their offices and I said, "Please, please, please hire me to be a technical support representative." And they were like, "You have no experience, no training." And I said, "I can do it. I will train myself. Just let me shadow someone. I will do it, please." And they were like, "Okay, fine. Let's see what you can do." And I ended up shadowing someone for 3 weeks, and they were not advancing me. And I just said, "Point me to all the documentation. Let me have my hands on the systems." And I completely trained myself. And then you fast forward years later, and I'm the subject matter expert. As you and I talked earlier, I'm like going to conferences, speaking on the topic, leading training sessions and workshops. And it's just my desire and my drive to take something that's really challenging that most people can't do. I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out. I just want to be that expert and feel like I've mastered something and then get bored of it. But I have not. Here I am 22 years later, still in technology, because it's the service element. I am such a servant by nature. And so being able to take, that's why we said I'm a technology geek and a customer service fanatic, right? Being able to take complex technical problems and solve them, but make someone's day better in the process. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it's just perfect marriage of everything I love to do. So I will never leave this industry. I just love it so much.
Right, and I was gonna say that's why you speak at every conference, right? Because people need to learn this because not everybody is good at this. We say, I remember in the past I've had some really high end technical people that I wouldn't let loose on a user or a customer or even a peer, especially not my boss, because if you've ever watched the show Big Bang Theory, this
Oh, yeah.
this guy should have nicknamed him Sheldon because that's exactly. And by the way, this kid was an intern
Oh,
and he was that advanced, and it was like woof. But he would irritate you because he couldn't put it together. He would think people were stupid, and you understand that certainly, like that it's not that people are stupid, they just don't understand what it is that you know, and that's our job is to help them. So absolutely. So we are down to about 2 minutes left in the show. Tell me what you'd like to share with the audience, tips, especially like going from something, like conquering a challenge to another. It's like, determination. Not now. It seems like a great time for people to try. There's so many things out there. We were talking pre-show about, I was mentioning there's more jobs than people. So now's an opportunity if you really want to try something. What advice would you give someone that's maybe has never done the job? Say, like what I'm hiring network engineers and systems engineers, and maybe somebody's never done that. What advice would you give them?
it's definitely the right employment market and the time in the employment market situation for people to be risky and to just go for it, right? Don't not apply to a job because you don't meet all the criteria, because candidates are needed so desperately. So it's definitely the perfect timing to be risky and take a chance. But I mean, for me, it's just, if you want longevity in it, right? Making sure you're finding something like that you really are passionate about. Like, I didn't know how much I loved serving customers until I thought back to my favorite jobs, and they were an ice cream shop, a grocery store checker. Like, I am a public servant, and I love it when people are cranky and I can make them smile. So I was like, if I could be a grocery store checker and make $100,000, I'd do it. But I got to find another way, right? Marry that maybe with my intelligence and technology skills to just serve people. So it's just find out what you're super passionate about.
I agree with you because I know for my situation, I am doing a job. I don't know if I shared with you since I've been in my job. Like, I'm doing a job that I've never done before. Like, I mean, I'm a manager, but I manage L1, L2, service desk, desktop support. Now I'm managing engineers, and I don't know their job. So you want to talk about imposter syndrome? But like you, I'm like, it's the challenge. It's I got tired of doing because my passion is helping people, especially people that don't perform well, understanding, breaking down what's causing that struggle and helping them get over that. So I agree with you. I think it's the passion of what we like to do. That's a good point. It's got to be your passion, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, let's see. Let me get back to we're at the end of the show. I did an oopsie, Heather. That's why I told you about punching all the buttons, and especially when you haven't done this for a month or so. I kind of glitched the screen there. I apologize to the audience. But Heather, I'd like to thank you for being on our show. And for those of you out there listening that don't know much or anything about HTI Local Chapters, the website's at the top. Check us out. Our Twitch and YouTube and LinkedIn information is all down here. And if you want to know more and you want to be on the show, email me. My email address is on the screen. We'll hook you up with our producers and such and get you on the show. Heather, thank you so much. And maybe we'll have to have you on again. I can't wait to see you. Hopefully in May. Hopefully I get to the conference.
I know.
But hopefully
Thanks
see you there.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.